All right, man. We are back. Arkham Tuesdays. Usual crowd. Usual game. And probably the usual amount of nonsense that we are going to spit at you. So you might as well just start disagreeing with us in the chat and the comments right away. No, I'm just kidding. I love what everyone has to say. I love the discussions that come. I love reading other people's inputs and takes on what happens. So keep that up. If you do like us, then give us a subscribe so you know when we're coming up. Liking the video does help us out, so drop a thumbs up. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost you a single thing. So we do appreciate if you could do that. Guys, we're looking at Survivor today. Any initial thoughts before we dive and get into it?
The most exciting. And unbiased.
I'd probably have to be as well. I really like this character a lot. This is pretty cool. This is what I'm running my main campaign as, and this is what I usually play Arkham Horror as. I love Ash Campete through and through.
Yeah, I'm currently using him too, and it's been a lot of fun. He does get into a couple of pinches here and there, but overall, I think his mechanic that he shares with Duke is probably one of the more interesting ones, or more fun to play, I should say.
All right, so let's switch over and start looking at this stuff. Ash Campete. You're looking at his stats on up on the screen there. We're looking at 4-2-2-3. One of his best abilities is not even an ability or an action. You start the game with Duke in play. That's cool. You don't have to find him. You don't have to hunt for him. There he is, your good buddy, just like Arkham Horror. This fast effect is discard a card from your hand. This is what I think is going to be so cool about Ashcan going forward. Unfortunately, it's not cool right now, but it says ready an asset you control. So you're kind of limited. I think most everybody's trying to double use Duke.
Yeah.
But I really feel that once you flush this out and there's more assets around and you have more choices, you're really gonna, this could really swing a game. His Elder Sign effect is +2, and you get to ready Duke. He has the standard Dunwich card building abilities. So any other thoughts on this stuff straight up, guys? What do you think? Oh, and he's a 6'5".
Go
ahead, Jomar. No, go ahead, Jomar.
I was going to say, just like you said, Jameson, I think that his quick ability is one that's going to be very, very cool as we continue with the game. And like you said, currently, I only ever really use it on Duke, but there are other uses for it that are already in the game. If you're lucky enough to be the person that, pulls Henry Armitage into your deck, and you have the charisma going, which I don't think is too uncommon now. There's a lot of people that are probably experimenting with that. Not to mention the fact that Duke doesn't actually count as an ally, but you're probably playing Peter Sylvester, who we'll see later. But you're able to now get 2 card draws and burn those 2 cards for $6 in the turn by just pitching whatever trash card that you have in your hand, maybe one that you don't need, if it is that you're playing an Ash can that doesn't run broke. And I know probably...
It's like a sacrilege, isn't it? It's like...
So the most popular Ash can right now is the broke variety, but I'm sure that we'll see once the bigger, crazier red cards come out, like the Typewriter, which I believe is Survivor red card, then people are probably going to want to switch and play a more money-focused deck, and so that would give you an opportunity right there. But of course, you'd have to fight with your group to see if you can actually pull Armitage into your deck. I'm sure a lot of people actually want him because his ability is a nice one, but overall, he's really fun. If Ashcan ever gets caught without Duke, though, then that's where the problems start to arise.
Yeah, right. so that's probably my biggest downfall of Ashcan. Just to break down Duke, he's up on the screen now. He's a 2-cost asset, Ashcan only. Action is you can exhaust him to fight, and you attack with a base skill of 4 and get +1 damage. Or you can exhaust him to investigate with a base skill of 4. You may move to a connecting location immediately before investigating with this effect. And Duke is also a 2/3. If you lose Duke and you are Ashcan, you are pretty much shit on.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole deck is built around having Duke, right? The bonuses.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it makes up for his if you count his stats, you're looking at 4, 2, 2, 3. That's 11 as opposed to everybody else's 12 stats, kind of as a base. So he's down 1 already. Duke allows you to give you the flexibility of boosting either your fight or your investigate by 2. So that's where you're negative at a base, but you're more versatile in terms of what you want to do. However, if you do need those stats for encounters or other things outside of the fight and the investigate, you are kind of stuck with your 2 and 2. So you have to kind of be careful that way. You can get some pretty bad beatings, just having to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. So a lot of the mythos checks that we have now revolve around willpower. Right. And so he has the cards out of Survivor, Ashcan does, that will help buff up his willpower so that you're able to pass those checks. But
I mean, his willpower is 4 already, right? Which is
it's already
pretty high as it is. So without even the cards, you're doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you're playing with the Seeker cards, then you're able to get your knowledge buffed up quite easily during investigation anyways with the magnifying glass. But I think overall for Ashcan in the Mythos phase, he's okay for now. But once it is that, Mythos starts checking for fight and crazy things like that coming off the deck, then I think that's where Ashcan's going to start to suffer a lot.
Yeah.
What about
his health and will are also pretty low. Right?
Yes.
I think if we're comparing it to Wendy Adams, who's our other survivor, she's at 7 and 7 straight off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. So Ashcan is looking at 6 and 5. Duke comes in at, I guess, 2 health, 3 sanity. So I guess you could put stuff there, but you don't really want to be doing that. He's not like a meat shield or a brain shield like some other allies are. You really need him alive to make up for what you're lacking in those abilities. So you can't really use him as kind of a damage sponge.
Mm-hmm.
What I like too about the Survivor class, just a note on it in general, is I feel like Wendy and Ashcan, even though they're using the same, probably, I don't know, what would you say, 70% is the same almost build, or?
Yep.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Right. So, but they play so different, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's very, very cool to see where this faction is going to go next. Let's touch on the weakness. It's a madness, and exhaust all assets you control and put wreck nightmares into play in your threat area. Assets you control cannot ready. 2 actions, discard wrecked by nightmares. What's your thoughts here?
Coming from the perspective of, like you said, you play Ashcan as your main campaign right now. I'm doing the same thing, and in this campaign, racked by nightmares at a glance doesn't seem like too much of a pain because it's just one turn where you're using 2 actions to get rid of it right away. Right. But there's also the one card in the encounter decks now, and the name is eluding me, but it basically blanks all of your assets. I can't remember what the heck the name of the card is. It happened to me like 3 rounds in a row when we met up to play the Undimensioned and Unseen.
Right.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's very annoying to have multiple effects that take away what Ashcan needs to thrive, and those are his assets. So there's Rack by Nightmares, which is going to make it so that none of your assets can ready, and then you're going to have the other card that blanks all of your assets, and then I believe there's also one more that has to do with not being able to ready assets. So there are 3 cards currently that are just floating around in each scenario that you do, and I can't remember the name of the second one either, but it's those 2 guys on the porch. One has like a shotgun, and one is sitting in a rocking chair or whatever. And I think those affect his assets as well. So the more effects like that they include in these scenarios, again, is going to keep beating Ashcan down. I mean, this one, Racked by Nightmares, as far as...
I mean, there's also the kidnap asset.
Well, that's the worst of all.
Right. Like that's just like, let's take a dog and stuff it in a pouch and
But I think in terms of signature
away.
weaknesses, as far as signature weaknesses go, his isn't that bad because 2 clicks and it's gone, whatever, and you don't have to worry about it again for the rest of the game. I think that's pretty fair. In fact, it might even be a little bit too kind.
Yeah, because it's also 2 actions not at a specific location. Right, so you don't have to go anywhere and then spend an action, right? So I think whose was it? There's somewhere where I think it was Jenny Barnes where you had to move somewhere, and then spend 2 actions, right? So that was like pretty much 2 turns of you not doing anything, or not really not doing anything, but minimizing what you could do. This one is pretty much 1 turn.
You have to get to her sister's location, right, and then
and then spend it, right? And it's the furthest away. So this one is definitely not terrible. I think it's, like Shomar said, maybe a little bit on the kind and easy side.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe this is, as we go on, we got to think of a better name for these kind of things, but because I don't want to keep saying situational, but that's the only way I can describe it right now. This is a very situational weakness that I've had it come out in times when the board is clear and there's nothing to do, and I'm like, okay, I don't really want to spend 2 actions to clear it, but boom, boom, gone. And I've also had it come out when I'm like, oh crap, I need a Duke, I can't get him back, I have to do A, B, and C already, and now you want me to burn 2 actions to get rid of this. And so in times like that, when it seems the game is really like coming down on you to, and you're really hitting the final pinnacle push of a scenario, and this comes out, you're just dreading it. I'd rather see this early game than I would late game. Like as the game goes on, if I haven't seen it, I'm like, come on, please, avoided it. Right?
Yeah. Don't hit me at the wrong time, kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. So that's how I feel about this. So at the right time, two actions to discard it. Nothing really. I mean, and it's also not doing anything crazy to you, longevity wise. Right. So there's no mental traumas. There's no physical traumas. So it's I'd say it's one of the better ones for sure. I concur.
And just quickly to correct myself, the treachery card that I was talking about was Unhallowed and Unseen, and that was Unhallowed Country. Revelation put Unhallowed Country into play in your threat area. You cannot play assets. Treat the printed text box of each ally asset you control as if it were blank, and then at the end of your turn, you have to test will for 3 to get rid of it. And I had it stuck on me for three or 4 turns in a row.
Okay.
So it was rough.
What are you guys' thoughts then on Ashcan as a whole? I definitely think he's very high in the positive side of things, because I think he's the kind of well-balanced play that you can do solo. I think he's a great team player.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of bouncing between, is he in the great category, or is he just, very high good?
And it's hard to to say because I've only played the one sort of archetype for him, the broke version of Ashcan,
Right.
where he has those secret cards, and I think that he's very good, but at the same time, he does kind of rely on the party that is around him, because yes, he's sort of a jack of all trades. He has, just enough fight to be able to take on most enemies. He has the ability to have just enough knowledge to investigate and grab clues, and then he can kind of do the rest. So he's a jack of everything,
Right.
master of nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what holds him back, is that there's nothing specific that he's good at. And if you're not, especially playing by yourself, Duke is only going to get you one action of the two. So he's going to get you a free move and an investigate. And then you're going to have two left where you're just using most likely Ashcan's base abilities to try to get you somewhere.
You can always toss a card though, right?
Yes, but how many cards can you toss is what I'm trying to get at.
Right. So you can only
All
do
the
it once a
cards.
turn. So you
All
can
the cards.
So you're gonna get you can get pretty much two actions on Duke, right? Unless you happen to pull the Elder sign, right? So you can either
Yes.
get two fights or two investigates, that kind of thing. And usually that's good enough. Like there's usually very very few times when you're like, man, I need to fight three things.
Mhm.
If you have to fight three things, you're kind of boned anyways. Or if you need to investigate three things, you're usually kind of stuck. That usually doesn't happen very often. So I think for the most part you're okay. You're just sometimes you're put in a tough choice where you have to might have to ditch a card, but at least it's not random, so you can pick what you're ditching.
Yeah,
Right.
so my philosophy on this whole thing is that I think that Ashcan is good, and the reason why I say that is because you look at what you have. You have your investigator card, you have your weakness, which is hey, I might pick that weakness over other players' weaknesses, so it's a really good weakness. And you have Duke, so those are auto includes in your deck automatically. So no matter, like Shamar, you say that you haven't played other ways, and I've tried some different Ashcan builds, but the one point I always find myself falling back to is I already have Duke, so I might as well kind of center my abilities around that and not include, I don't want overlap, right? Like, so Duke is going to be that bonus. But the problem is what drops him from great to good is that Duke is that linchpin right now, right? Like, if something happens to Duke, your whole deck kind of crumbles.
Yep.
So I think he's good.
I totally agree with that. I don't think he's in the great tier. I think he's just good.
Yeah, I mean, I think at maybe some point in time he might become great. If cards come out where it's less, Duke centric, and Duke just becomes a really good bonus on top of it, he might become great. But I think at this point in time, you're right. Duke is getting you back to. Without Duke, you're at a hindrance. So if you take Duke out of it, and you had a bunch of cards where you could build a really decent deck around, and then getting Duke would be just a bonus on top of it, I think he would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think you're looking at, if you take Duke out of it, it's a pretty big negative. So I think he's only good.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we have it. There's the investigator comparison, and let's get on with the other cards here.
Oh, sorry. One quick thing that scares me is the fact that Duke has a cost of 2, and that kind of tells me that eventually there's going to be a lot of cards that are bouncing assets back to your hand. You have to repay to get them out. So look forward to having Duke bounce back to your hand in your broke Ashcan build, and you struggle to pay 2 to get him back on the table.
Yeah, rather than those permanent ones that start in play and they don't have a cost to play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or worse ones would be like, if you don't pay the cost, it goes away.
Oh God,
That
would suck.
All right, let's look at Fire Axe, boys. It's a 1-cost asset with skill check of 1 combat. Fight. If you have no resources in your resource pool, this attack deals +1 damage. Your lightning is during an attack using Fire Axe, spend 1 resource. You get +2 attack for the skill test. Limit 3 times per attack. So as we know that, if you start, you can burn your resources down like by boosting.
Yep.
And then you have no resources, and you get the +1 damage.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on the fire axe?
It's a good. I really like it. I think it's a great.
Oh,
it's a
great.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know if it's great on the category, but I'm going to describe it as great for now. It's a good backup for Duke if you end up using Duke for investigating or something else, or you want to save him for the investigate after you punch this guy in the face or whatever it is, or not in the face, but just hack at them with something. Yeah, like you said, you kind of play Ashcan at this, balancing on poor, no money kind of thing. So being able to get, so you can't use Duke, so you're going to be at, two fight. So if you had $3, you're at, +8, which is for the most part pretty much like, if you don't draw the auto fail, you pass. And then the +1 damage is always, we always kind of go back to that base of if this weapon does not deal at least +1 damage, it's garbage.
Yeah.
Right. So this one does that. So I think we're at least base. And then, you spend money for it, and then you're getting, the +2, which is pretty huge. So you're looking at Ashcan, where you want to burn down all your resources. So that's pretty good. There's some other classes. I mean, you definitely don't want to be running this in like Rogue or something where you're rolling in money because it doesn't really help you. Right. But there are some other classes where, you're kind of balancing on the edge of not really generating a lot of money. So this can be a good backup weapon to deal with.
Yeah, I do love the fact that it's one-handed. I didn't know if they were going to make us two-handed power swing this thing. But if you come in with a quick chop, one hand is fine. I do love the cost per bonus. 1 resource for +2. That's nice to see. Sometimes I've played where I don't really care about the plus damage. I mean, it's really nice, but I just love the fact that I'm at least getting that 1 extra hit because, like John said, this is my backup to Duke. So this is like Duke's already. I've already used him.
Right.
I've hopefully got the plus damage off Duke, and I just need this quick chop and kill to finish something off.
Yep.
This card.
I mean, it's also. Sorry, I was just going to mention it's also, Duke gets you to base skill of 4, and you can't boost it, so this can get you to 8.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they're both going to deal. If you burn through all your resources, they're both going to deal +1 damage. So sometimes maybe it's better off just to save Duke, boost it up, get to the 8, so that 2 damage actually goes through, right? So it's just another option.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cheap to put out 1.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. The only thing where I'm trying to think of how I would rate this card is out of faction. And I don't really see it. I mean, this is probably the reason so many, like Shomar said, the broke Ashcan Pete things came into play, right?
Right.
I don't know. You've been pretty quiet at the top. Shomar, what do you got? You're not a fan of Fire Axe, are you? You're waiting.
No, I like it.
Okay.
I definitely like it, and like you said, the price point's great. The way that it plays is great. I just don't think that it falls under a great card because it can be very limited. And I mean, in a perfect world, you would somehow have money to boost and do the +1 all the time. But what ends up happening, and again, this is probably because of party composition, where my party currently consists of Agnes Baker and myself playing Ashcan, as well as I was forgetting her name, Zoe. So the issue that arises there is that having a consistent fighter tends to be the problem because Agnes needs to obviously drop spells. Zoe is best when she's able to ping things with her cross and do all that fun stuff. And then you're supposed to have Ashcan, who's supposed to supplement that. And when you're fighting big enemies and none of us have, you know, those large weapons, and I'm standing there with Duke and my fire axe, and my first attack with Duke is going to be great. My second attack, providing I have money with the fire axe, is going to be okay. And then my third attack is going to be me fighting with base 2 fight, and it kind of sucks in that sense. Or another example is you use Duke for the investigate and move. You can't really pitch a card for whatever reason, and then you're stuck with fire axe not at its most efficient. And then that's where the problem lies, where you're always wishing that you had that second weapon available to you when, you know, fire axe isn't at its best. Because if you're constantly working at broke, that means that you're only going to have one true attack with the +1. And I know Jameson said he doesn't mind not having that +1, but again, most times that +1 is almost essential to getting you guys in a position to win. So I still think it's a good card.
Yeah, but I guess that's like, because I don't look at it as I'm not the damage dealer as a survivor.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I'm coming in as a little bit of cleanup. You know, like I'll let Duke bite his ass, and I'll take a hit with the fire axe. Right. If I need that third attack, then like I said, I don't mind not dealing that +1 at all, because I'm not the guy that's coming in attack, like burning down the things. To me, survivor is not taking the lead. That's why I'm like, I don't mind not dealing the +1 damage all the time. Obviously it's nice, but and there probably is going to be times when you need it, but I think the resource for the +2 is where it shines.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Could you see this? So could you see Zoe using this when she engages? She gains 1 and then just spend it to get the +2. So like James said, you may not get the +1 damage, but you do get the money, spend it, so you do get the +2 fight right off the bat without having to spend any extra stuff on it. Right.
See, that's a hard comparison, because you look at like you said, Rogue should have the resources, so they don't really need to use this.
Well, no, sorry, Zoe being the Guardian.
No, right? I know that, but I'm just running some of the stuff down, right? And
okay.
Right, so that to me, that's already cancels out. Like, I don't know if I would put this in Rogue, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then I look at the Seeker class, and they're already like, I don't really need to do damage and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just here to kind of look at my books, and I need my hand space for that kind of stuff. So I don't really see Fire Axe fitting into that style, even though they can make a little bit of
backup.
They can make a little bit of money.
Backup.
Yeah, maybe, but it doesn't.
Right,
it doesn't really like cry out for me. But
right.
Then you get to Guardian, and they already have machete.
Right.
So you're pretty much gonna have a gun, right? Either Jenny's twins, or you're gonna have Roland's gun, and then your backup is the machete. So would I need the gun, machete, and the fire axe? So I don't know if I see it right now in a Guardian build.
All right. I mean, the thing with fire axe is maybe not the damage, is the fact that you could boost your fight up to +6. Right? Which, I don't know if there's a lot of weapons that'll actually allow you to do that. So, like, I think right now we've seen a lot of monsters where the fight is not terrible, but we have to do multiple damage to deal with it. And I'm wondering if down the line we'll see stuff that, doesn't have a lot of health, but the fight is pretty high.
Yeah.
So that's where Fire Axe might come in useful down the line.
Yeah, but you know what? Until that day comes, I'm gonna have to say that this card is sitting above average for me. And if I didn't have to weigh it as a card on a whole, looking at using it out of faction and the values there, if it was just a straight up survivor, it would be because it's cheap and an asset, it would almost be good. And I think if there was even another, like, if there was Fire Axe, 2.0, where you can give me another skill check icon, same stats, same everything, I would make it good then, because then it becomes more of a holy wow, I can get this back with the scavenging.
Right.
Right, and it's worth it. But as tossing this for a skill check and getting it back, I mean, there's other ways to boost strength.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. It's very, very high above average for me.
Interesting. It's interesting that you would almost consider it good until you pull it out of faction, and it doesn't. It almost brings it down, because normally that we look at it the other way. We look at the card and say, oh, I guess it's above average. But when you put it into other classes, oh man, so it brings it back up. But it's interesting you went backwards. I think I'd be okay. I'm kind of stuck in between two. I'm stuck between, good and above average. I think it's right now it goes above average. I don't think it doesn't cover enough to make it good. There's still too many limitations on it.
Mm-hmm. Shomar?
I was going to say good, so I guess that makes it above average.
I think this one we might see shift around, though. I think this one will, down the line, we'll see it shift up to good for sure. That's my prediction on it all.
Yeah. All right. Peter. Peter's a 3-cost asset with a will skill test, +1 agility, reoccurring. After your turn ends, heal 1 horror from Peter. He's a 1/2, and he is friggin' great.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I don't really I don't have really much to say about Peter, as though he works in Survivor, he works in Mystic, like shit, like where else do you want him? He's if you're that strapped for horror, or you have like the reoccurring stuff, like working, like this guy does work in Agnes. Like this is pretty much Agnes's BFF.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you guys want to say? Do you want to talk another 10 or 15 minutes about Peter?
No. I think this version of Peter is already great, and the upgraded one is just like beyond. It's fantastic. It's the greatest thing. So I don't think we even need to discuss. If you're not playing Peter Sylvester in your Survivor deck, and no one else at your table has him either, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he gives you an agility icon, as much as we don't say it's useful, it's kind of good, I feel. It boosts a stat that most other classes
underutilized
that would normally take him wouldn't be that great anyways. So, on top of that is just an extra. Like, even if you took away the icon that he has, the +1 to agility, he would still be great. The fact that he gives you that +1 as well is just nice. And the icon is a +1 will, so if you have to toss him, that's great too. He's amazing all the way around.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, you could argue that this version is good because there's another version out that is better, but Shomar, like you said, like, come on, that's really splitting hairs. I mean, right?
Yeah.
This card is great alone. Like,
Agreed.
Him and his twin brother are both great. So we're good.
All right, let's get into bait and switch. So one of you guys want to walk through that one and start it off?
All right. Bait and switch events. 1 cost, so pretty cheap. It's got the knowledge and the agility icon. Evade. If you succeed, the enemy is non-elite. Evade the enemy and move it to a connecting location. So it's it's kind of a push as well as an evade. So pretty much it's like I guess it's like a normal evade. But it does give you the ability to push an enemy somewhere. So you can push it into just out of the way, push it into something where you got another character there that'll kill it, so it stays in action that way. You're gonna get the evade icon on top of it as well, so it makes the evade a little bit easier. I think it's okay. The fact that it's non-elite is kind of meh.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was all enemies. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's average.
This is thumbs down for me, man. I'm not using this card. To me, it's. I have a real problem with push it off, deal with it later kind of stuff.
Yeah, so far all the stuff, all the events and kind of all the scenarios we played, like, deal with it later doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Right?
And I really wish that this was just maybe an auto evade. Like, do something to balance it more. Like, okay, like let's put the cost up a little bit, and then it's like evade an enemy and then move. But it's like if you succeed, so it's like I play this, and if I don't, I'm like, oh well, there goes that.
There goes a bug.
Right.
Fire Axe is online.
Right, so this is not really a card that, like, I feel like even needs, like, Ashcan and Survivor can somewhat hold their own. Like, if you're playing some kind of weird agility rogue or something, maybe.
I mean, I guess if you're playing Wendy, then this becomes a little bit more useful. Right? Wendy's combat ability is 1.
Yeah.
So she shouldn't be fighting. So this is definitely more useful. But if you're looking at, like Ashcan or Agnes, I think you're just like, what? I can it's either elite where this is useless and I can't do anything with it, or it's not elite and I'm just gonna kill it anyways. Right. So besides the Wendy deck, I'm not sure where else this falls into. Even I guess the newer characters that can take the 0/1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've gone through all the other characters. I don't think any of them were really like, man, we should take survivor cards as our like zero class, right?
Yeah, and if you are, you're probably just gonna take lucky.
Yes. Yeah.
Shomar, what do you got with bait and switch? Are you baiting and switching?
I tried. Didn't really work out, so I got rid of it out of my deck.
And then you had to pay for it to go, mate.
Yeah, so the thing was, and like you mentioned, the reason why.
No, but he's using adaptability, right? So he's fine.
Oh shit!
The reason why I even bothered to keep bait and switch in my deck was exactly as you said. I misread the card at first, and I was like, "Oh, it says evade in bold. That means I evaded it automatically." Yes. And then when I went to play it and I read it again, I was like, "Wait, no, that's just the evade action. And if I fail this card is a waste. So this card sucks." And I think after that is when it had to come out of my deck. So bait and switch, no go. To me, the card is almost bad.
So if you're playing Wendy, would you not put this in your deck at all? Like, I don't know, with Wendy, I feel like you have to.
I mean, just because she has very low fight, I still feel like that doesn't mean that you need to play this deck. Because in my opinion, you just do the evade action for free, and who cares about the move? Evade it and then move yourself. Or evade it and then hope that a teammate comes in and helps you out. Like, there's no point in paying $1 to evade, in my opinion. And maybe I would just play the game wrong. I don't know. But paying money to do an action that I can do for free just because it has a push on it, to me, is just like, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like usually you want to be in, like, as a support, faction, you kind of want to be paired up with somebody who's either doing, some of that killing cleanup. So to push it away from your location kind of like defeats the purpose of pairing or the group mentality, right? Like, and I'm struggling to if I should reveal a spoiler or not, but I mean, I guess, right?
I mean, why not?
Like how much fighting is in the Dunwich anyway?
Enough.
Right. Well, I tell you that some of these scenarios they haven't been that that fight intensive, right? So
Right.
to me, this is going to be a dead draw at sometimes.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's not too spoiling. That's not spoiling. I mean, that's just the nature of the game.
Right.
So I feel that I was thinking above average, but I could see it slide. I'm willing to partner up with Shomar's rating there if he feels that strongly that this needs to go into a bad.
I mean, I'm not saying that it has to go into bad. It could be below average. It's just very underwhelming at this point, and there's no real use for it yet. The non-elite thing as well is another why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So my feeling is, I find even with your support class, I don't always tend to sit right on the exact location as our group's killer or damage dealer. It usually ends up I'm pretty close, and then we flip our encounters, and there's some monster that shows up at my location, or ends up being stuck to me, and the fighter has to spend an action coming to me, suffer something like that. So which would be, he has to go first before me, that kind of thing. So this can be useful to push it away to him so he can save an action, so he doesn't have to move towards me.
I can see that.
So right, and like I said, for Wendy, I feel like even though you may not want to use this, I feel like it's a good backup, and that's the only reason it's below average for me. That's the only reason it's keeping it from
right.
like the bad. But I can kind of see where it's drifting to.
You kept it afloat.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out. All right, in the same pack, Pete number 2. Pete.
Oh, but that's an upgrade technically, but we know where he's going.
Oh yeah.
We know
Sorry.
where he's going.
Yeah. Forget it.
It's so
Spoiler.
good we just skip the rest of it.
Yeah. Spoiler. Don't look at it yet. Miskatonic. Oops.
Oops. Yeah. Oops is a 2-cost event with 2 fight icons to pitch. Fast, play after you fail a skill test by 2 or less while attacking an enemy engaged with you. Deal this attack damage to a different enemy at your location.
So I'll preference this little spiel with, when this card came out, I put it in my deck, and I feel that it's appropriately named because now I'm like, oops.
Yeah, get that one out of here.
Get it out of here.
I'm just like, what am I doing? Right? Again, I feel that I don't know, maybe if there was more crazy fight intensive stuff, after that first scenario or that first, box, this is like in the packs. I'm like, okay. But how, if you have multiple enemies at your location, shit's getting out of control anyway, right?
Yep.
Like this is like a last resort. Like, and this is coming from somebody who done fucks up a lot, right? Right? Like I'm the kind of guy that will fail a skill test, and I'm like, if you can redirect that stuff off, onto somebody else, I'm like, hey, my damage isn't wasted. Yeah, awesome. But now it's like my damage is not wasted, but now I have to pay 2. And like I said, I'm never really feeling that I'm fighting 2 monsters, right? Like,
right.
Maybe it's good solo if things are rolling out of control, but
I still don't think so, because if you're solo and let's say you have 2 monsters at a location, so even if one is engaged with you and the other one isn't, and for whatever reason that monster has to retaliate. Yes, this is fast, but it's still going to retaliate for. Actually, no, sorry, it wouldn't retaliate for your attack. But the fact that you are not hitting that monster, you're hitting another one, still doesn't deal with the problem of the monster that's staring you in the face. So during the monster phase, you're going to get slapped anyways. And then you're hoping that the monster in the room isn't Hunter, or that it's engaged to somebody else, that you don't get slapped twice. So it's just like, what's the point of even playing this card? Because if you're in the room with 2 monsters and they're both engaged with you, then you're pretty much screwed anyways, as Jameson said. Like, why would you even be in that situation? And why would you have a card for that one specific situation where you're engaged with all these monsters? I guess maybe unless you're Zoe or something.
Yeah.
Unless you failed by 2 or less, dealt the damage to the other monster, then played lucky and killed the one you attacked in the first place.
The combos. But still.
This card is still terrible.
Yeah. So I guess the only reason why it's fast is to avoid the attack of opportunity, which I was thinking. But
yeah.
Other than that, it's just like, why? And oops is right. Oops, I put this in my deck by accident. Oops,
Yeah.
this is even in my card box. That's in my bookmark box now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which is weird. So this test also gives you 2 fight. All right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like in opposite direction. So if you're using this on a monster that doesn't have a very high fight value, the +2 probably puts you on pretty close to even. Right? So, which in that case, the rest of this card is useless because you're probably past the test.
Yeah.
play this for the deck.
I kept this in my deck for too long. I'll tell you that. Oops. Right. I don't like the condition too. Right. Like fail by 2 or less.
Yeah.
And I'm
so
like,
that means you got to get within this like weird range, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was talking about. This doesn't work on a really powerful monster that has 8 fight because you're still not going to get there.
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Because let's be honest, there's two guys attacking you. There's a reason that you're going for that first one first.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like oh, I've boosted. I've got boosted by however many. I've got 3 damage all lined up, and this guy's going down, and I missed. Oh, now I think I'll use all that 3 damage on these rats over here, or something else that's like on me. Like, thanks.
Exactly. 6 damage into rats.
Just for a deck slot being used up for this, I just don't.
No.
I don't see it happening right now.
No. So the question is this bad or is this terrible?
It's freaking terrible.
I would say bad, but
It's terrible, man.
Based on Shomar's disdained face, that face convinced me it's terrible.
Okay.
It's got to.
And the art's so stupid. It's just so bad.
all right, you guys talked it down. You outvoted me.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, I just noticed the art too. Wow,
What's
that's like.
going on?
Yeah,
Like, what is that?
I think it's a sack of potatoes made into a doll or something. You know those like prison movies where it's like the guy escapes and he just leaves like his pillows underneath the blanket?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
All right.
Oh, man.
Guys. Newspaper is next up in the Essex County Express. It came out. This is a 1-cost asset with an investigate. You get +2 while investigating if you have no clues.
I like it. It's pretty cheap. +2 is always nice. Like you said, I think for Ashcan, it's good. It allows Duke to do something else or get, a really high investigate if you need to. I like it. I don't think it's amazing, but I don't think it's a negative either.
Oh, really? I was ready to punch this one right in the
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
This is like, I don't know. The tabloid newspaper that's garbage, just rip it up and toss it.
Yeah. Can't trust those Weekly World News sheets, man. To me, it's a... to me, in the...
it does use a hand, though.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like,
yeah, I didn't see that part. Yeah.
Okay,
I can see where, yeah.
The name of the game is to get clues. So basically what? Like, my first clue, I'm getting +2? I mean, like...
Yeah.
Can I just have the magnifying glass out instead?
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That is true.
But then the other thing is that, yes, the name of the game is to get clues, and the name of the game is also to spend them. So you know you're going to get to use this more than once in any given scenario for the most part. And then that makes it a lot easier when it's time for your group to spend clues as a group. They'll always take them from you. and then you'll get to trigger that +2 even more often. So I still think it's all right. Like, I don't think it's a bad card. The fact that it's so cheap. Yes, it sucks that it's in a hand slot. That's probably its biggest limitation there, is that it's taking away from more effective things, like a magnifying glass, for example, which is to be used during investigating. So I think that's the thing that I feel is the biggest negative. I don't think that the ability is actually a bad one or a useless one. I just don't think it could be a hand slot. I put a newspaper in my back pocket.
Or tuck it under your arm, man.
Would this work with, like, burglary? So, it's like investigate, and if you succeed, instead of discovering clues, gain 3 resources. So, you just kind of open the newspaper, just go through the ads, find a house that's empty or whatever on sale, and just steal some stuff out of it.
Yes, but wouldn't your teammates be pissed at you if you're just running around burglarizing and not actually picking clues up? You're just, I'm gonna get $3 here. Wait, next turn, I'm not gonna investigate again. $3 over there. So I feel like, it works with that, and it works with that very handily. But
well, I wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be doing this like every turn, right? But like say you went to a location that had 2 clues, you investigate, gain some money, and then take the clue. Right,
and get +2/+2.
Yeah, right.
That's fair.
I just don't know how much value you're getting. I mean, I know it's going to be 1, and you can haggle your way, but I'm like, for the deck slot, for the hand slot, I don't know, man.
The hand slot really messes it up.
Okay, so where would you put it, Jameson? Where are you?
Well, I'm not. I don't know, because I'm not right now. I'm not using it. Like, I passed this over completely. I was like, I don't have time for this.
Okay, so is this like are we looking at like the lower 3, like below average, bad, terrible? Like, I don't think it can't fall below average, can it?
No, I mean, yeah, I gotta say, it's below average. Like, I can see you guys arguing your case for it, and it's nice, but I look at, like, playing. I want to say, like, the different levels, right? Like, if I'm playing solo, how much use am I getting out of this? If I'm playing with 2 players, I don't think that there's enough times for me to have no clues, to be getting a return and to keep this on the board. Maybe if I'm playing with, like, into the 3s and the 4s, you're getting more value out of it because other people are scooping the clues before, and you're just kind of like cleaning up. I'll move to the location last because I have newspaper out, guys. Let me take the last turn. If you don't get that last clue, I've got +2 here. I'll do this kind of big bang stuff. I got Duke. I should be able to make this investigate happen. And then you come in and you get the last clue, and everyone's like, yes, we got that 1 VP off that location. Let's go. So in those kind of scenarios, like from 3 players and higher, but like in 4 and lower, I'm just in 2 and 1, I just don't feel that you're having no clues is going to happen enough. So that's what that brings it down for me.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's below average.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Oh, is it better than bait and switch?
Yes.
Yes.
Oops. All right, what's the next one? Let's see. And,
the next one is Rise to the Occasion.
Cards in Blood. That's what we're on.
Blood on the Altar.
Rise to the Occasion.
Pretty sweet card. So Rise to the Occasion has 3 wild, which is insane.
Yes. So I'm up.
But then the ability, commit only to a skill test you are performing, and only if the difficulty of that test is at least 2 higher than your base skill value. That is the issue.
That's pretty convoluted, so I'm sliding down. But then I look at the art, and it's an uptick.
Yeah, the art's sweet.
I do think that's cool.
The wilds are sweet, but in terms of its practicality and the application. So I put this in my deck. Matt convinced me, our party leader, convinced me to put it in. Said it was a great card, and I was like, you know what? I'm on board. Yeah, Ash can, with his 2s, this is probably gonna get used a lot. And every single time that I tried to use it, it never happened because it was very difficult to find anything where I was, where the difficulty was too higher than my base. Like it was ridiculously hard to find. So it just ended up getting tossed for 3 wilds. I held this in my hand for an entire scenario. In fact, we replayed the scenario, and I still didn't have a chance to play this. And I drew it in both times that we tried.
Well, you could only toss it for the wilds if you had that ability.
So you can't even toss it for the wilds. So I didn't even toss that. I tossed something else, whatever the hell it was that had the wild symbol on it. And then that was the other thing. So I remember I tried to toss it for wilds. That's what happened. I tried to toss it for wilds. I was like, whatever. Well, at least I'll just get the 3 off of it. And then we looked at it and we're like, no, wait, that's a skill. And so it's not can't use it. And I brought it back. And then it was like when I first learned to play Arkham, the LCG, where my team would be in other rooms and I'm constantly trying to throw cards like, take this from the other room. They're like, you can't do that, Shamar. Like, you got to be in the same room. It was that same thing. So I tried to play Rise to the Occasion, I believe 3 times, where I was like, don't worry, I'll help you with 3. No, you can't play it. Oh, never mind. And then I read it again and be like, okay, I'll help you with 3. No, you can't do that. So this card, I mean, if somehow you find a way to get use out of it, like if you were playing Wendy with the 1 combat and she's in a fighting situation for some reason, then she will likely see use out of this. But I think most characters can't use it. Like the skill checks aren't high enough in this game. Like the highest skill check that you see usually is a 4, but it's like never for the right stat. So it kind of sucks.
Just to clarify, when they say this does not work with Duke, right? Duke changes your base stat to 4 for that fight, right? Okay, just to clarify that.
So you got to test a 6 fight, something with 6, like that doesn't happen. That's what I mean.
Right,
doesn't happen. Investigate doesn't happen. Maybe will sometimes somehow if it gets buffed up, but usually 4 is what we see is like the magic number right now. Yep. And so it's just like, it's almost, I don't want to say it's a useless card. I mean, eventually I'm sure, but even Jameson said there's not a lot of fighting going on in this cycle. And there's not a lot of beefy guys. Like there are beefy guys, but their attack is very low. Yeah. So
where I find the downfall for this card is that I feel that this is only going to be used for surprise occasions on the encounter card. Like no point in time am I like, I'm 2 lower on this base stat to go fight that guy, but I've got Rise to the Occasion, going for it. I just don't see myself going into something that I don't feel good about, or it's one of my weaker stats. So it's gonna be the whole encounter card. It hit me for my shittiest stat. Okay,
I guess I'll use it. Yeah,
I'm lucky that I've been saving this since turn 1 of the game in my hand. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that was me.
So I don't know. I really don't know, guys.
I personally don't like it.
So I personally don't like it, but I know that someone's gonna like pop out of nowhere of the woodworks and be like, "But guys, this one time it saved me, and it was awesome, and I used it, and we won the game and blah 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 blah." But I'm like, come on, is that consistently happening with Rise to the Occasion?
I hugged this just so that I could pop off a fire act without boosting it, hoping that with my 2 fight that somehow I would find a monster to fight that had 4, and even that didn't work. And I just held those 2 cards trying to get that combo off, and it just wasn't worth it. It's not worth the deck spot right now.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
Definitely, right now it's not.
Right.
So is it bad?
I'm gonna go and say it's bad. And then I challenge everyone in the comments to like come destroy me and tell me that it's not, because I really want to know the proper use for this. As far as I've seen,
yeah, What makes it not terrible though?
The fact that one-off moment you'll get 3 wild for.
Yeah. Is that what you're wrestling with? Is putting it in the lower tier?
Yeah, I'm kind of it. Well, I'm not really wrestling. I think it's bad, but I'm just curious what keeps this from falling into
The wilds. It's 3 wilds.
3 wilds.
straight 3 wilds.
Yeah.
So my hope is that in all of these scenarios that we have out right now, there is some investigator in the game that could make use of this consistently, and by consistently I mean even once every 2 scenarios. Or like, yeah, not even once a game, but once every other scenario would be.
So hold on. So if you've got stuff that gives you a +1 fight or a +2 fight, this is compared to your base stat.
Yeah,
right?
your base on the card.
Right. So if I'm fighting a monster that has fight 4, and I have a base stat of fight 2, but I somehow have abilities that boost it to a stat of my stat of fight to a 4, I could play this, and now I'm at 7 versus 4, right?
Yeah.
So if I could find ways to boost my whatever stat I'm using, it actually becomes pretty good.
But is
Fire axe.
But are
It's
you
like the only
but are
thing.
you at like a win more location? Like you're like, well, if I have my permanent in play, and now I'm going to spend all this resources to boost me up. And
I mean, this doesn't cost you anything.
and
right?
I'm going to pitch this. Like
No, I agree. I don't think it's great or anything, but I'm just trying to figure out like if there's a scenario where this is not a terrible card.
yeah,
Right.
I just think because those 3 wilds, I think it's, if the moons line up, or if you want to me, if you want to hold it in your hand and wait it out for that time, once you pull it off, it's going to be good.
Right. Okay.
Right, but it's just
okay.
it's gumming your hand up while you wait it out.
Right. Okay. That's kind of what I was trying to get out of it. I was trying to figure out why is this not terrible, and like we said, I think it's because there are ways to kind of make it work, and when it does, it'll be quite
Like-
good when you get the trigger.
Right, and like I was saying before, I feel like you can chase down those scenarios where you're at a disadvantage just to play this card. But
Right.
to me, I just figure that you'd rather avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Agreed.
its biggest application right now is to pitch it if you're playing Ashcan to Ready Duke. So,
Right. Wow.
So
Does someone say
Wow.
that in the?
no, that's just me.
Oh, mate, what's this one here? Vince says maybe it should just be called Scooby Snacks.
It's like a Duke that can be used in other classes.
Yeah.
If their base is low enough.
Ready, Duke up. Okay, so that was
So that was going in bad, right?
yeah, Blood on the Altar. So the newest pack, what did we get?
Undimensioned and Unseen, Dark Horse, which is actually a really good one. Well, not really good. I like it a lot, though. I think it's your turn, Jameson.
This is a 3-cost asset. Will of 1 in a skill check. Limit 1 per investigator. During the upkeep phase, you may choose not to gain resources. While you have no resources in your resource pool, get +1 for every stat.
Yes, sir. Dark Horse. Oh man. So I recently obviously played with this because we did the Undimensioned and Unseen together on Friday. Yeah. And I denied to take money in upkeep for something like 5 turns in a row.
What?
Because that +1 on everything was so good.
Right.
It made the rest of my actions a lot easier. It helped Duke in fighting because now he's at a 5.
Right.
It was just great in general. And not to spoil anything, but there was a very mean and nasty location in Undimensioned and Unseen that kind of affected your econ anyways. and it just so happened that we were all in that location. So regardless, I wouldn't have been able to really get money. And I think that it was so nice, just like I said, having that +1 across the board. It helped me with that unhallowed country check to get my allies back from being blank. It helped with rotting remains and all that freaking annoying stuff that happens with that card. It's just great. +1 across the board and everything is unbelievable to have.
Are you're saying it's great, like top?
Oh, sorry, no, it's great to have this card.
Okay.
I don't know that this is a great card. I think that this card is definitely at least above average. The fact that you can play it for 3 and that you can choose if you want that ability to pop off.
Boom. That's the kicker right there.
Yeah.
That's the one for me that I'm struggling, man. I mean, like, I could see this, like, right now how we're playing the game. We've built our decks, and then a card like this comes out, and you're like, oh, so I have to kind of, I'm putting it into my deck now, blah 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 blah. But I can see going forward where if I'm starting a new campaign, if I'm a survivor, or hell, even if I'm some other character, I could see this going in right away at the start of a campaign. So I'm borderline. I really kind of want to say that it's great. I got to pay my 3 assets, and then I put it in play. It stays in play, and if I need a resources, well, hell, I gain a resource. But there's times when I've played this game, and I'm just like, well, I don't really need to take this resource. Like, if you remember back, like to your other turns, right? Like, hell, most of the time you are gaining a resource because next time you have to spend that resource to boost a stat by 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So just don't gain it and get it across the board, and then when your encounters hit, at least you're covered for everything +1. So
Yep.
I think this is great.
It's all on you, John.
Oh man.
Oh, he's not. I thought you were sighing to budge. You're like, I thought you were gonna be like, he's right.
No. The only reason why I stopped at above average, like I love this card. Like I said,
above average. You never even went good.
I said at least above average.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't make a decision yet.
Right. Okay.
I was trying to wait to see if you guys were gonna diss me or not.
No, you're a fence sitter.
No, I don't think so. No,
like I said,
I think we're all in the. I think
huge
we
part
all
of this card is
this
choice.
is on the upper half of our scale, right? We're in the green sections here. I don't know if it's great.
But it's not what? It's not above average, so it must be good.
That's what I'm kind of leaning to. I'm kind of leaning towards good.
I'm fine. I mean, like, that's what.
I mean, the thing is, it's not a permanent. So you got to find this.
Yeah.
Right. So are you running? Like, do you run 2 in your deck? Do you run 1?
No, you have to. It's limit 1 per investigator.
Right,
But
but
that means out on the table, right?
out on the table. But you if you want to find this, do you run 2?
Here's my thinking, John,
Oh.
and let me disagree.
Okay.
Where's my popcorn?
In any card game, have they ever said you can only have 1 of something if it wasn't good?
No, that's true. That is
They
true.
wouldn't troll you and say limit 1 because this card is ass and I want you to play it. It's limit 1 because this card can be very overpowered.
I'm trying to go through.
Play 2.
I'm trying to go through and think of like Netrunner assets or something.
Yeah,
It's just
probably.
like terrible, but they can only have 1. Like
So yes, do you want to say like in Netrunner where it's limit 1 per like region, or limit 1 like those region ones, limit 1 per
it's like
server?
unique.
Come on.
Like, is there like a terrible Sand or City Grid or something like that? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. No, I see what you mean. Like for me, I know it's above average or better. I think we're all agreed that for me, it's just I don't know where it sits. I don't think it's great. That's. I mean, okay, so
This I'll tell you that this will probably be a staple card in probably going forward, guaranteed at least every Survivor build.
Yes, yes, yeah. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Okay, so the question is, outside of Survivor, where are we at?
Outside of Survivor, even I think, like I'm keep moving myself closer to great because you spend three, and three seems like a lot. And let's say you only had three, you spend all of your three and get +1 everything.
But
then
the thing is, how often is that +1 everything useful?
depending on who you're playing, I understand that, but there's no telling what your basic weakness might be, what might happen in the game to cause you to lose all of your money. And so when you do, it's not like, shit, I have no money, now I'm screwed. It's, okay, I lost my money, but at least I got +1 across the board, and I can work on building back up from there. Not only that, but the fact that it gives you the choice to say, I'm at 0 right now, I'm getting this +1 buff. I can take a buck or just build my money back up, or I can neglect that dollar in upkeep at least. So you neglect it in upkeep, stay at 0, spend 2 actions doing what you got to do that needs those buffs, and then you play your cash.
Right.
Get money out. Like it just gives you those opportunities to do things. Forbidden knowledge, whatever have you, on your last click, but your first 2 clicks, you're getting that +1. If you decide not to take anything in upkeep, which is a very easy decision to make, depending on what the scenario is currently giving you. So I like that it's a card that you can mold and adapt to whatever situation you're in at the time. Late game, mid game, early game, doesn't really matter.
Fair enough. All right, you know what? Okay, I think so. I was stuck between good and great, but I think I'd be okay if you guys went with great. I'd be okay with great as well. Yeah.
Great, do it. Put it up.
Do it.
Okay,
Lock it
so
up.
Shomar, what are we
interesting
talking
question.
about? Limit 1 per investigator? Are you comparing that to say like unique cards then? Because I'm
No,
ready.
'cause unique cards.
Okay, because
unique
I'm
cards
ready
are
to
different.
I'm ready to list off a whole shitload of cards that are
No.
garbage and that-
Unique and limit 1 are completely different things.
Okay.
So, especially in a game like this, where unique means that only one person at your table can have that and no one else can play it, so it's a dead card in everyone else's deck. This is every investigator can have one of these on the table. That's why they didn't bother to make it unique. And I think the fact that they're limiting it like that as an asset means that it's definitely at least a good one.
Is this better than Peter?
No,
Okay.
No.
absolutely not.
All right.
So an interesting question comes up then. So this is great, right? It's a little bit pricey. So we're looking at, Skids can't take this.
Mm-hmm.
Would you throw this in a Jenny deck?
Sure.
Like,
But remember, your sacrifice is 2 resources every turn now,
But
yeah.
and that's her ability.
but you don't need to. Like it's
Right.
you don't need to trigger it. So
Right.
if you need resources, let it go a turn or 2.
Right.
Then just turn it on. Or
this card is just that insurance. It's that
Yeah.
in case shit happens.
Right. So that's kind of that's my thing, right? Jenny can afford the 3 for the most part. It's, 3 to her is probably pretty much nothing. It's just whether, if you say, hey, I give up 1 for stat boost across the board. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I give up 2 for stat boost across the board. That's a little bit of a, because you're not kind of now negating her ability, right?
But isn't it better then? Because like I'd be like, okay, this turn, it's off. I get 2. Next turn, I'll turn it on. And last turn, I've already got the resource that I would have got, so I'm still breaking even.
That's true. That's no done. Way to go.
I mean, maybe if you're gonna look at it like if you're gonna leave it on for like multiple turns in a row, and then like if you have it on for like, so you break even next turn if you need it on. Okay, so now you're down 2 resources. Like the third turn, you've lost 6 resources, or sorry, like 4 resources. So I don't know, multiple times there, but I think that I think Jenny can like Rogue is pretty intense of getting their other base stuff online and set up. So I think when this one comes around, you should have maybe enough change in your pocket to play this and be satisfied.
Right. All right.
Oh shit. I done. Huh? I done
I
put
think
every.
that's it, right?
Yeah. So now we're on the upgrades.
Upgrades.
So Peter, we said, is already good.
Yeah.
Sorry, great. And the reason why he gets now the +1 will, and he also gets an extra horror capacity.
Right.
Right. Okay. So Peter, you're up there, buddy. Good to go.
All right. What's the next one?
The next one is out of Miskatonic Museum. We've got Fire Extinguisher, which is an asset, costs 2 and takes a hand slot. Action fight, you get +1 attack. Sorry, +1 fight for this attack. Or you can exile Fire Extinguisher and evade. You get +3 evade for this test. If you're successful, evade each other enemy engaged with you as well. Which is why I don't play this card.
Just had to make some quick adjustments in here, so keep talking
Man,
about it.
I think this is a.
It's a trap.
So this falls on the lower end of our scale. I'm going to say this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Survivor already has other ways to exhaust. And then the fact you have to exile this, so you have to pay 1 XP for +3 once.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's another melee.
I mean, you do get to evade each other enemy engaged with you.
Yeah, but then it's like, are you going to be first action, engage this guy, second action, engage that guy, third action, fire extinguisher.
Right,
Into
yeah.
smoke.
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't like it. I mean,
yeah, I know, and it takes up a hand, so you gotta sit there and hold on to this thing for until you find a time to use it.
Exactly, and you're not putting a bandolier in your deck just to play a fire extinguisher.
No, it is not. No, I don't like it. This is not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So the question is it terrible?
If we are continuing to use our machete measure, our machete unit of measurement as a melee weapon, it's just giving the +1 fight, no +1 attack or nothing. I think that this card deserves to fall to the very bottom of the scale. And you have to pay an XP for this, so
yes, and it costs you. Yeah.
Yeah, the XP, the upgrade, I just don't feel like it's needed. I mean, bad.
Why is it an upgrade? Why?
Yeah.
What is it doing that's so special that I need to pay an XP to get this into my
But you know what? Sometimes that's the beauty of our rating system. That if something crazy comes up, we can tick it up later. But I mean, as of right now, exile fire extinguisher, like the second ability is what you're kind of putting it in your deck for.
Right.
And the fact that you're gonna have to keep having to bring that back if you need it, really, I think it goes back to saying like with oops, right? Like, how many enemies are you engaged with?
Right. Just pimping.
Yeah, right. So I don't know.
Everybody.
Well, so the thing is, the 1 XP pretty much means you can only put this in Ashcan Pete, Wendy Adams, and Agnes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because the rest of them would all be 0. So mechanically wise, to put it back in 1 XP and 0 XP are the same thing. But but that 1 XP limits to what you can put it in. So right. So Ashcan and Wendy are agility, 3 and 4. So they're already pretty high, and they already have the survivor cards to pull out, right? And then you're looking at Agnes agility. Her agility's 3 already as it is, so it's pretty much the same as Ashcan. So it's kind of like, why do I need this?
And as we said, again, this is not a free evade. You still got to check it.
Yep.
And so I think if I was on the design team, if I was in charge of this, my suggestion would be, yes, the fight is always in action. The second one should be a lightning bolt.
Right.
Exile it, do the test. If it fails, it fails. Whatever. Or it should have a little caveat. If it fails, then count this as an action.
Or
But if it passes-
exile. Yeah, exile.
Yeah, if it fails, exile it anyways. Something, because you're using the
Right,
fire
so it's
thing
gone.
to-
Yeah. So it's
So
gone.
it should be exiled regardless, but a bolt ability, something.
Thematically, it's cool that it's exile because the canister's empty, gone. Batman
Right.
smoke bomb gone.
Right.
But yeah, just everything else is blasé. So is it terrible, guys, right now?
I think so.
Okay. What's next?
The next one is in the same pack.
Yeah, Flare.
There. Yeah, I like this one. John, that's you.
There. So you got an event, 2 costs, 1 XP. So it's the other way around. Test icon. So you got your wild. You get fight. So you can choose either. So you choose one. You get +3 fight, and you deal +2 damage for this attack, and then so you exile Flare. So that's gone. Or you search the top 9 cards of any investigator deck for an ally asset and put it into play under your control. Then exile Flare. Shuffle the searched deck. So they're both really good abilities.
Yep.
Right? What's so funny?
So I just so I knew the 2 abilities and I knew the search the top 9. I didn't know it was any investigator's deck. I thought it was your own. So
No.
I'm just picturing being like, hey Matt, I'm gonna search your deck for Leo before you play him, and now Leo's on my side, and I get your action, and he's just out on my side of the table. Matt can't play his other copy. I think that'd be hilarious. But so sorry.
Yeah,
You know what? I didn't even think of that either.
I said that
I knew it
joke.
was any other investigator's deck,
Yeah.
but I didn't put that kind of cross together now.
I said that joke to my
Really
buddy
interesting.
who was playing Rogue when this card came out. He's like, "Oh, I love this card." I'm like, "Yeah, until I use it against you." I'm like, make sure you upgrade your Leo because that's the one I want. I don't know what I feel about this card, guys. I really don't. I kind of want to say it's below average. Because let me just say that for the cost of 2, for the upgrade, search, if you break down 9 cards deep after your opening hand, maybe after I really feel that you want to play this early game. So
Right.
you still have a chance. But you still have a chance that the ally that you're looking for is not in those top 9 cards. And then, boom, this is exiled. Gone. Thank you.
No, the FAQ says you don't have to exile it if there's no ally found. So you can't lie and be like, I didn't find the one that I want. So I'm not going to exile and
Okay,
shuffle your deck.
because then, so what does it say? Then exile?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
then
pretty much
exile.
you have to search the top card for an asset and then put it into play, then exile. So the ally has to come into play for you to exile it. It's like
You
one of
can't
those
resolve.
pay the cost kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you
Okay,
that
so if you
it's-
come across with one ally that's garbage, you have to take that
You
ally,
have
right?
to. You have to. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy runs across the field and be like, "I'm here." He'd be like, "I didn't want you. I wanted."
I
Where's
want
the other-
that guy.
Get out of here!
Get
I
out.
don't want you here. You're not the one I was hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool if something else happened, like that's a tie-in with the art, right? Like, if you don't find an ally, like a monster spawns or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Yeah.
so I really think that
Or one of those like innocent revelers or whatever it is shows up and you have to like take care of the guy now.
I really think that you're using this for the searchability and not so much the fight, the one-time fight.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think it's average. I think it's there if you need it. I mean, obviously in card games, tutoring or search has been very strong. I do think you have a really good chance. More broken. Yeah. Yeah, so Vincent in the chat, he's told me, yeah. He says, come on, Jameson, you should know that tutor abilities only get more broken over time. With this and charisma, you can search for 2 different allies.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, I just... Vincent, you're killing me because you raised some good points about... Because like I was saying, I was on track to say that search is very powerful. With how big your deck size is, you're bound to have an ally that you need. I mean, we already said Peter's so crazy. You want him on the board.
The problem with this, you know what? He makes valid points. The thing is, though, that ally goes under your control. Yeah, so if you're not using it on your own, if you're using it on your own deck, like pretty much it says you can use it on any deck, but I feel like if you're using it on someone else's deck, then you're wasting it.
Yeah, unless it's one of those
right?
bonus
because
cards.
Now I'm going to pull the, I don't know, whatever it is onto my deck, which is my deck's probably not built for. Right? So
it all depends, though.
If it's I feel like unless it's a story asset.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like maybe somebody was like, nah, I don't want this. You know, you can take them. And then you take them, and then they're like, you know what? I probably really should have taken that. And you're like, oh, guys, it's too late. Here, put Flare in your deck. Get him out of mine. But then, like you said, if it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up. So I don't know.
So
above average, that's where I'm willing.
So
to,
then you
that's
just
where
paid,
I'm willing
you
to
just
go.
Paid 2 for nothing.
Yeah,
2 for nothing.
I'm willing to say it's above average. Right now, at this current state, there you go. I mean,
I agree. It gets you pieces out much cheaper.
Yeah,
$2 for Leo is a beautiful thing.
You're gonna have to, yeah. There you go. The discounted cost, right? Too.
That is true. Yeah.
Okay. I say okay. So even with the factor of discounted cost, does that push it? Are you saying it's good, Shomar, or were you saying above average?
I'm saying it's above average, not good.
John?
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, I'm gonna go above average. I don't think it's right now where it is. It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also just a fan of the exile mechanic. I like that they added that in.
Because the flare burns out.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
All right. Okay, what do we got next?
We are on to Essex County.
Yeah.
Lure. Lure is a 1-cost event with 2 agility for skill checks attached to your location. During the enemy phase, each enemy that moves does so along the shortest path toward the attached location instead of to where it would normally move. Forced. While attached at the end of the round, discard lure. Holy smokes, that's hard. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, I'm glad you took that one.
During the enemy phase, each enemy that moves does so along the shortest path toward the attached location instead of to where it would normally move. While attached at the end of the round, discard lure.
Yeah, so basically you have to attach to your location. So you have to be in the location, right? Now I'm going to spend an action to attach lure, and then what? To try and make use of it, you're going to move twice, if you can, and then everyone moves towards lure.
Yes.
And this is actually great for the scenario that just dropped, Undimensioned and Unseen. But overall, as a card,
I don't.
At this, because we have to remember that our reviews and the way that we set up the board is for at this moment in time with the meta and the way that things are set up. And at this moment in time, Jameson touched on it more than enough times tonight. There's just not enough monster fighting going on, and there is just not enough need to be moving enemies away certain places to deal with them later. So I think that immediately erases this from being anything above regular average.
The monsters still have to follow the path that's legal for movement, though, right?
Yeah, they take the shortest path toward wherever the lure is.
Yeah, shortest path. So, like, how much is it worth it to, like, drop this and like, what's it going to buy you? An extra turn?
Yeah.
Like the
It
monsters,
might. Well,
the monsters can't move. Like, and how often do you have like this huge map open where you're gonna move 2 spaces away anyway? Like,
I don't think you're using this to avoid. You're using this to draw your monsters towards your fighter as opposed to your, guy with no fight kind of thing, right? This is more of a pull everybody in, throw a dynamite kind of thing. It's not a pull him here. Like, I don't think if you're thinking of using this to like pull a monster to some random location off in the corner somewhere and then run away, I don't think we've seen maps that work that way yet, or have been designed that way. I think this is more of a pull somebody towards a fight instead, so the hunter doesn't go after your weak guy that's on the other side of you, kind of thing, right? But I think the issue ends up being is because of the maps we've seen and how the locations are interconnected. I still feel like it's, especially with 4 players, if you have enough monsters for this to be useful, it's like it's going to affect. It might be useful for some, but then all of a sudden it pulls monsters to somebody else where you don't want that. Like, it's too hard to juggle to get all this. You're almost like, I'm going to draw out a map of whatever we're playing at, and I'm going to draw a bunch of monsters and then mark it down and see where they go. And it's like you're trying to trace this out, and I don't think it's worth it.
below average at best.
I agree.
I mean, I would have been tempted to let it slide lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one.
Blood on the Altar Scrapper. It's permanent, and it's one that I actually enjoy.
Oh, nice.
What?
Yes, it's a good permanent. It's a fair permanent.
It's fair permanent.
So Scrapper, again, it's a permanent asset. 2 lightning bolt abilities. One is spend 1 resource, you get +1 fight for the skill test, or spend 1 resource, you get +1 agility for the skill test. So 1 for 1, beautiful.
Beautiful, yep. Yeah.
Above average?
I think so. The only reason I say it's not good is just because the agility one is not as useful right now. To me, anyways.
To me, 1 for 1, it's kind of just blasé. I mean, it's above average because it starts in, it's a permanent, starts in play. But
above.
I'm not going gung ho on it.
No, above is good. Agility not very useful right now, as John said. So.
Yep.
Is it better than lure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it better? Is it better than flare?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Peter Sylvester alone makes Flare better than this.
Yeah. I think there's other ways which may not be as good, but there's other ways to get a boost. There's very few ways to tutor a deck right now.
Undimensioned.
Plus, this is a good way to get. This is a good way to get the damage on Fire Axe if for some reason you have way too much money.
Survival Instinct. A card I don't use in its regular form and a card I don't use in its upgraded form.
I tried.
All right, so this one costs you 2 XP.
Yeah, 2 XP. What else, John?
Yeah. If so, you got your 2 evade icons, which we know are so useful.
Oh, tell me more.
If this test is successful during an evasion attempt, the invading investigator may immediately evade each other enemy engaged with him or her, and may move to a connecting location.
Each other, again, more than one engagement.
Yep.
And then you just take the one with you that you want, I guess.
Is that may evade each other engaged with him or her, and may move to. No, you
just get out of there.
You just get out of there.
Evade everybody and get out.
Yeah, right.
The invading investigator may immediately evade each other enemy engaged with him. So each other, aside from the one that's currently engaged with you, the one that you're actually evading.
Because it says if the test is successful in an invasion.
So you evade the first one.
Oh, you evade everybody.
Yeah. So if you're dealing with like 3 people that aren't you, you could evade the lowest one.
Right.
And then that evades. So that allows you to get by those weird evade ones where it's like this guy has crazy evade abilities. So I might as well engage with all of them and then evade the lowest one, and that allows me to get by the high evade of the other one.
If you're really playing an evade game, this is okay. I mean,
Yep.
but to me, I'm not gonna hate on it, but I'm gonna say it's bottom of below average.
Yeah. Personally, I can't remember the last time that I've had 2 enemies in my threat area. And I
didn't just kill, right?
Right.
That I just didn't.
And the last time would have been just like by chance getting rats thrown on me in an encounter after like accidentally leaving a monster with myself. That's all I can remember. It was rats and some sort of shitty ghoul. And it's just like all these cards are just not necessary right now. And FFG's definitely gonna notice that, and next cycle is just gonna be like, here's a spam shit ton of monsters and no AoE effects except dynamite. So right now it's very underwhelming.
It does give you a free move out of it, though.
Yeah. But still.
Yeah, I've already said my piece, so if you're waiting on me to give more, I got nothing.
I would go below average. That would be my choice. I don't think it's bad. I would say below average.
Below as well, but bottom of below.
All
right.
All right. I think that wraps it up, right?
Covers
Crappy
it
card
for
to end on.
Survivor.
Yeah. Dun dun dun. What a letdown.
Hey, we started off on a high end.
We
right?
did. We
We
started
had some peaks and valleys.
We started high. We started real high. So there it is. There's Survivor. I mean, if you look at everything that Dunwich is doing, it's kind of adding a little niches here. The strength of Survivor is still based off the core set.
Yep.
And I think that's safe to almost assume with anyone, but this one in particularly. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. I don't want to keep everyone kicking around here too much longer. We're wrapping things up here. Join us next time, and we're going to look through some of the neutrals options that you can add in.
Yep.
And that's
We'll
it.
see what else happens.
Yeah, we will. We will.
We'll have some interesting stuff.
All right, so catch you guys later. Appreciate everyone who tuned in for Arkham Tuesdays. Active chat, good to see. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Are you guys not going to say bye, or did you already say bye?
Oh yeah,
Nope,
wait,
I did my
Oh,
sign off.
okay. All right, see ya.